From the latest breakthrough in green technology to the discovery of humanity's oldest tools, you'll find it all on the Academic Minute.
Listen every weekday afternoon during the KSJE Evening News at 5:30. This program is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, who's expanding its services to offer low-cost blood screenings all year round, now offering walk-in convenience to get the blood tests you want when you want them. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, is available in Farmington at the hospital's laboratory and the Outpatient Diagnostic Center on 30th Street. Also in Aztec at San Juan Health Partners Family Medicine at 120 Llano Street. With nearly 20 tests available, there's an option for everyone. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, a wellness service of San Juan Regional Medical Center. 8:35, KSJE, you're listening to the Scott Michlin Morning Program. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it is all of 8 degrees in Farmington at the moment, but the sun is out, so we like to see that. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in, and good morning to our viewers who are watching us on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. You are seeing a picture of the snow-covered San Juan College campus this morning. Our weather forecast does call for a partly sunny day today with a high reaching 29 degrees eventually. And then it begins to get cloud up again tonight with a chance of snow showers overnight with a low of 24. More chances for snow on Thursday and Friday. In fact, there's a winter storm watch in effect for San Juan County until 5 p.m. on Saturday. The high tomorrow, 36 in Farmington with chances for flurries. 25 Thursday night, 35 for a high on Friday, 16 Friday night, then partly sunny skies on Saturday with a high of 30. Sunshine mostly on Sunday with a high of 33. That's the forecast for the next several days. I'm Scott Michlin. My guest on the radio this morning, Ernest Martinez, is here. He is the regional manager for Serenity and Company, and that includes Memory Gardens, a cemetery here in Farmington. And Mr. Martinez, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You live in the Gallup area.
Well, I have a home here in Farmington.
You do have a home here in
Yes,
Farmington,
sir.
too. Got you. But
I've been a resident. I split my time between Gallup and Farmington.
because you manage properties in both communities.
That's correct.
For the company. Mm-hmm. And so you've been here to talk about Memory Gardens, and as folks were just joining us, I know this is a very emotional issue. There's a lot of folks who are very upset with the condition at the cemetery today, and rightly so. I think you'd agree with that.
Sure.
It's not where you would like to see it.
That's correct.
And so you are here to talk about your plans, the company's plans to bring the cemetery hopefully a little closer to what people remember it as. And I think folks have fond memories of the cemetery, and maybe our memory's a little fuzzy, maybe not, but folks certainly want to see green grass and the cemetery maybe in a more park-like setting than it has been for the last several years. Is that a fair statement?
That is a very fair statement. But I think in the past 5 seasons, we really have improved. There is a great deal of progress. I hope folks do see that. Is it perfect? Is it pristine? No. Is it where we want it to be? No. But we really have had some strides in the improvement of the cemetery. When it fell apart again, the spring of 2013, it really it's come a long way.
And let me ask you a bit about some of the concerns folks have shared with me as well about some of the, maybe there's some rodent problems, some prairie dog problems, and we know they love to dig, mm-hmm. and that's an issue that is a problem for anything that's any property that's near the river or wide open spaces and things like that. You're not excluded from that.
That's
cemetery.
Correct. Yes, we have worked with the county to eradicate the prairie dogs, groundhogs, whatever rodent it is, and we've been pretty successful at pushing those creatures back, but we are next to the river, and our neighbors aren't as proactive as we are trying to be in eradicating those, so we can push them back, but they do kind of migrate back into our area.
Got you. So it's just kind of a constant battle, I suppose,
Absolutely.
Is what you are saying.
That's correct.
And with maintenance of cemeteries like Memory Gardens, I mean, it's a pretty big, and I don't know how you gauge the size of cemeteries, but I would say it's one of the larger cemeteries that I have seen. It's certainly mm-hmm. larger than maybe Green Lawn mm-hmm. in Farmington. What was it, a medium-sized? Could you classify them, or how big would you say?
I would say We're a fairly large cemetery. We actually probably have more undeveloped area of our property than we've developed.
Wow.
So it really is a large area of plot space.
Lots of acreage.
Lots of
and lots of
acreage.
room for growth, apparently.
That's correct.
And so in the future, as you grow, and certainly we're going to need space for folks, will it be the same type of cemetery look, or is there a plan maybe to xeriscape and to be able to maybe to avoid some of these problems that you find yourself in drought years and things like that?
Yes, sir. Our next section that we develop will be a xeriscaped garden, and it is to be responsible corporate citizens. You know, our water condition, even though we've received a lot of water this season, we may not always have that. So we do want to be responsible for our future and our kids' future and our grandkids' future. So we have talked about developing a new xeriscape garden. We've looked to the Veterans Cemetery in Phoenix that is completely xeriscaped and absolutely beautiful. We have some neighboring communities that have xeriscaped gardens that allow families to put benches and bird baths and upright markers and things that we can't have with a grass section because of the maintenance, the weekly maintenance. And so the next section will be xeriscaped, and that'll give families an option of where they want to be laid to rest.
Give them a choice, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Right? And not if they want that, they can choose that. If they want the more traditional, they can choose that, I suppose.
That's correct.
As long as there's room.
That's correct.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
And for a lot of folks, so I imagine there are some cemeteries that have maybe changed from a grass type cemetery to xeriscaped, and that can cause issues too for folks maybe who bought their plot thinking it was always going to be grass and always going to be a park-like setting, and now it's a difference.
That's correct, and it has Gallup is a community that faced that. The owners of the cemetery went xeriscaped. It really 10 years down later, because this happened about 10 years ago, that they stopped watering the grass, and they had a little bit different situation. The water that they were pumping out of the ground was so acidic that it really was killing the grass.
I see.
And so they had a different reason, but the xeriscape 10 years later has really become part of our community and part of the expectation for families. And as I said, it allows upright markers and bird baths and benches and things that we couldn't have before.
Right. Understood. Another issue that folks have brought up is some of the stones that sink, that are a little crooked, that aren't the way they were when they were first put in. I guess that's an ongoing maintenance issue for any kind of a cemetery like yours.
Absolutely. With the watering, the soil gets loose and the markers are heavy, and yes, they settle. We do have a vault requirement, which allows, folks think that the vault is for the protection of the casket. While it affords some protection of the casket, essentially it's for the maintenance of the property. We can tamp the dirt in tighter so you have less settling of the headstone and sinking of the grave space. And it does happen. The ground freezes and it melts and those stones settle. So it is an ongoing maintenance issue. I wouldn't say it's a challenge. It's just something that happens in every cemetery with every rock that sits on top of the ground. They settle. Right.
And so if someone finds a problem with their marker, with their site that their family has paid for, they can put in a maintenance request, and those are dealt with pretty quickly, or could it be faster?
I guess I'd ask folks for patience when they put in a work order. We do have, it is a functioning cemetery. So our grounds crew, although they focus on those maintenance requests, our primary focus is laying people to rest. So when we have a very busy time at the cemetery, the grounds crew are burying folks, and that upkeep of the cemetery is secondary.
I see. But they should be fixed eventually.
Absolutely.
Is what you're saying to us.
Yes. You place a work order and our grounds crew will work on it, yes.
Got it. And so what are your plans, your immediate plans for this spring, Mr. Martinez? As we mentioned, you've talked about some staff changes and getting people back in the right places, some maintenance, some replacement of the irrigation system and improvements there. You feel you got everybody in place, ready to go as soon as the watering season starts and the fertilizing season starts? People should start seeing Lots of activity out there?
We do, yes. March 1st is our cleanup time, our cleanup date. So any decorations that have been left out from the holidays, things like that, need to be removed by March 1st. Then we abide back by the springtime rules that they have to be in the approved vases and non-breakable items and things for the protection of not only the grounds crew but the general public. We don't want somebody walking around and get cut with something that was breakable and got broken. So March 1st is our cleanup time, and then we're going to start doing the aerating and thatching and fertilizing and things that need to happen. Again, that was one of our things that hurt us last year, is that fertilizing to try to make that soil more conducive to growth. And because we didn't have the water, it burned it more than it helped it.
Right. This year should be a different story.
Absolutely.
Absolutely different story. You mentioned some of the items that people bring. I know a lot of folks do like to decorate the sites and flowers or toys or different things like that. And I imagine there are rules about that because you have to maintain that cemetery and you have to do the grounds work and things around it. And that's why the stones are flat, I guess, to allow easier maintenance of those grounds. And so folks can leave things for a certain amount of time, but at some point they are collected and disposed of?
That's correct. March 1st is the time. They have to be in the approved vase that is generally part of the headstone design, and those can be kept there, but everything else needs to be cleaned away.
Gotcha. And is it just the one time a year, or is it more frequently throughout the year? March 1st is coming up, you mentioned.
That's
but
correct.
I imagine you have to clean it up other times too.
Certainly. There's different times throughout the season, but we really focus on March 1st to be able to get the soil prepped for the start of the season.
That's a cemetery-wide deadline, I suppose.
That's correct.
Is what you're telling us.
That's correct.
Got you. And of course, I imagine all these things are spelled out in the contract, and
Sure,
the agreement that
in the
folks
rules.
have when they do that. And this may be several generations removed for some folks today who are trying to keep track of what they should expect and what they shouldn't expect from Memory Gardens.
That's correct. The rules are laid out, and anybody can see the cemetery rules and regulations. But yes, sir, the contracts that you mentioned, the cemetery's been owned by several different entities throughout the years. Serenity and Company, we have our own set of rules, our own contracts, but essentially we try to make sure that families' expectations are met and insofar as the contracts and what those rules are.
Right. And I know a lot of folks may feel that perpetual maintenance means that it should be perpetually green and park-like all the time year-round, and it just, you can't do it. I mean, I'm not a gardener. Right. Goodness knows, I don't even have green grass, the same shade of green in my house any summer, any time. But it's an issue, right, for trying to maintain this type of setting.
Sure.
With different issues that are going on. And you've mentioned to me already this morning about some of the challenges that there's been. In our remaining moments we have this morning together, I do want to ask you a bit. I know you can understand the frustration that a lot of folks maybe have with the condition of some of their plots at Memory Gardens.
Sure. And we're just as frustrated. I mean, every time we have a setback, it is I can't even come up with the word. It is frustrating because we are trying to do the right thing. We are trying to move it forward. We are trying to make it more of a park-like setting. And every time we have a setback, I was telling you earlier before the show that last spring in April we had a lot of the little seedlings coming up, and you could really see where it was starting to develop. And that 2 weeks without any water during the hottest time of the year, and everything died out, it was frustrating and it was heartbreaking because we have put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the cemetery. Again, I get it that it's not fast enough for folks and their loved ones, and I'm sorry that they feel like we're big bad corporate America, that we don't care, because from day one I made the commitment that we do care and that we will fix it. It didn't decline overnight, and it certainly wasn't going to get fixed overnight. But I am hopeful that this season truly is our coup de grace.
Well, and we hope that that you can come back and show us
Absolutely.
how things are looking, and folks will be able to see it for themselves.
Sure.
So I know that's really going to be the proof in the performance, is when folks go out there to visit their loved ones and can see the cemetery that they would expect for their loved ones, and that's what you're hoping to provide this season.
That's correct.
And so, as you mentioned, March 1st is the kind of deadline, and we should see some grounds work starting to happen out there after March 1.
Yes, sir.
And the irrigation season should start, I think, April 1 or around there, depending on the water supplies.
That's correct.
And so, again, as we talk about this, and I want folks who are listening and watching to be able to kind of see how things progress as we move into the summer season, hopefully with enough water and enough staff and enough fertilizer and enough all the different things that are in place to really make a big difference for folks who have loved ones at Memory Gardens.
Right. We have an annual Memorial Day event out at the cemetery, and that truly is, I'm hoping when folks come to see us for our Memorial Day event, they can truly walk the grounds of the cemetery and be proud of it as I am.
Good. Well, we hope to be able to have an update from you in the next few months, hopefully, and folks will be able to see what we're talking about. I know for right now it's a lot of words, but I think you seem very sincere in wanting to make this happen.
Sure.
And I think, again, you've talked to these folks who are so very upset about the conditions and know how they feel and how emotional they get about the conditions of their loved one's final resting place. And so it seems to me you want to make a difference and want to improve that.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Mr. Martinez, I appreciate your time this morning.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ernest Martinez, he is the regional manager for Serenity and Company. We've been talking about Memory Gardens in Farmington this morning. I'll be back with more in just a minute. This is KSJE, and the time is 8:50. This program on KSJE is supported by Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, providing a competent, innovative, and caring team of professionals to serve wealth management, trust administration, employee benefit plans, retirement planning, and estate settlement needs. Find out more about Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation at 505-599